Welcome, I'm Jon Caldara, president of the Independence Institute and your devil's advocate. Later on, we're going to talk a little bit about the primaries that happened earlier this week. But first, the rumors abound our governor is going to be president. So let's talk about his legacy and well, him being president. And the man who knows everything about becoming president, Dick Wadhams.
Nice to be with you, John.
Good to see you. You were almost the presidential candidates guy.
Oh, that's a long time.
Mr. Dino, welcome. Thank you for being with us. Glad to have it. All right. First of all, I got a call from the New York Times. Tell me about Hickenlooper as a centrist governor. And I was like, a centrist governor? You know, maybe if you're in Massachusetts, but no. Looking back on 8 years of Governor Hick, how will he be remembered?
Well, I think the first thing is the economy. He really helped the state rebound after the Great Recession. In fact, unemployment's come back even better than before the Great Recession. He's had a couple years where Colorado's economy's been #1. And he brought a lot of businesses to town during his tenure. I think when he ran for mayor, I was his campaign chair back in 2003, and he prided himself on being a businessman. Of course, that's when I first met him in 1988. He was sanding the floor down at the Wind Coop of his bar. And he wanted to make a change, make Denver, make Colorado a better place to do business. And I think he did that in his tenure as governor.
All right, enough of that puff crap. What will he be remembered for?
Yeah.
Well, I would not disagree with Mike in terms of his activity.
Maybe just state it a different way.
Do you know that Governor Hickenlooper, made those mountains so beautiful that Californians just wanted to come out here?
That's true.
In droves.
You know, John, I don't think he was a terribly engaged governor in terms of the legislative process. I think a lot of things languished on the state issues front, because he wouldn't engage like Governor Owens did, like Governor Romer did. They were in the middle of the issues with the legislature. I think that's why we have our transportation crisis right now, because it just kind of languished all those years that he was governor, and even during Bill Ritter before that. There was 12 years since Owens left office, and I think if he had been more engaged, we would be a lot further along.
Let me try it this way. With Lamb and Romer and Owens, they grew through the system. They were legislators, then they were treasurers. I mean, they understood how that machine worked. Along came a DA, Bill Ritter, nice guy, but he was in over his head. I mean, he knew it. It was obvious. And the same way with Hickenlooper, even though I think he was an effective mayor, he obviously knew what was going on there, but it's a completely different system going here. And it was clear from my point of view, previous governors said, this year we're going to do these 3 things, and then we're going to do this, and we're not doing that, and off to you. Inside the system, Hickenlooper has a reputation of being indecisive and people not knowing exactly what's going to happen. So he seems more reactive to what the legislature gives him on his desk than the other way around.
Well, I think a few things are at play here. He never liked the partisan nature of the political world, and that's why he loved
good reason to become governor.
Yeah. And I think he thought he could transform that. I think one of his legacies will really manifest itself after the next governor is elected, because I think, as we're seeing, they will be further to the left or further to the right than what we've had previously of governors. And people will appreciate his collegiality, his collaboration, his partnering. And I think they'll appreciate the fact that he did try to work with both sides of the aisle. He couldn't get things accomplished as he wanted to, because he realized that there was just too many different ideas from each side that were going to mesh together. The other thing that probably didn't work out was that he wanted to solve the Tabor-Gallagher Amendment 23 thicket, as he called it.
Like every Democrat does, by only choosing one of those 3 things to destroy, and that would be Tabor.
Well, I think he wanted to destroy all 3 and create a new construct. And And I think that was higher on his list than transportation, Dick.
Yeah.
And that's why he didn't get the transportation, because he was working on that.
Yeah, and that very well
He was working on that.
I'm sorry, he's still working on it.
Still working on it. All right, so
I'm going to leave here now.
let me try this.
He's going to tell me he's still working on it.
All right, let me try it a different way. As mayor, he had pixie dust when it came to raising taxes. Everybody's, oh, what a business-friendly mayor. I've never seen a mayor pass more tax and debt increases ever. I mean, Ted Kennedy couldn't have done that. When he gets into governor, he tries to raise taxes first with Raleigh Heath's 103 and then Amendment 66 and other things. And the only way he can do it, the state doesn't want it, the only way he can do it is through this back channel, I think, absolutely dishonest way of calling things fees, you know, whether it's faster or the bed tax or any of that other crap. And that's how he did it. So that's how he did it. He wasn't able to sell those tax increases statewide. And that urban-rural divide, as some put it, I'll just put it, the war on rural Colorado, whether it's gun rights or growth control or farming and agriculture regulations, you know, these are not the days of Roy Romer, who understood farming. So this state is becoming much more urbanistic, much more progressive. And I think Hick was a real stepping stone, sadly, in that way.
A stepping stone
towards this hardcore progressivism that the legislature does now.
Because he allowed it to happen.
Right, I think
he didn't do anything to.
I think of the 2013 session, the guy wouldn't veto anything. Same-day voter registration, the gun bans. I mean, just ridiculous stuff.
I will say this though. I mean, I'm going to actually say something positive about Governor Hickenlooper.
Because you're not going to be running a campaign against him.
That's right. No, I think it was pretty courageous of him how he handled the fracking issue. I really do. Because that's a religion in the Democratic Party right now. I think, and I think that's why it's going to be tough for him to run for president. I don't think he'll ever be forgiven for being pro-fracking and taking such a strong position in favor of it. And I think that did take some guts.
And he took a lot of criticism, certainly, from the folks, your neighbors in Boulder. And I think the other thing is water. There's a lot of people in the community that thought to put a water plan together where, you know, we know whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting here. He actually forged something together that is kind of a blueprint to follow moving forward. And while he doesn't, you know...
On what?
On what?
What did he do with water? I'm sorry.
He put a water plan together, a grand water plan.
But we still have the same property rights system for water that we did before.
We do, but each basin has a plan and an idea of where they want to go with it. The implementation part will be the challenge. Yeah. But it is a plan.
I've got to give him high marks for the politics side of this. That not the effective policy changes, because I don't think he had that, but being a beloved governor, he could click with people. He's the kind of guy you want to have a beer with when you meet him. He's engaging. He loves that world.
Do you like him?
Of course I like him. Right. Yeah, I mean, he'll come on here and we'll go back and forth on things. And he's been, for the most part, very accessible, which is tougher and tougher as the state grows. I mean, it's a lot easier to be reclusive. All right, going forward, he's going to spend the summer thinking about a presidential run. I'm going to do the same thing, but he might have better chances. Will he run?
I'm not sure.
If you were advising, what would you tell him?
I'd say, where does all your money come from to really get going? And today there was an article in the Washington Examiner, doesn't even mention him. And so he's really, I think some articles do, but by and large, they're inconsistent when they know what he's going to do. And so he has to really get more into the mainstream of people looking at him as a contender, and he hasn't done that yet.
Well, also, he was going to be part of Hillary's team.
He was a short list on the VP.
He was a short list on the VP, and matter of fact, I think, rumors I've heard was that he was supposed to get it and was very disappointed when he didn't get it. But the party's changing too. The party's becoming much more Bernie friendly. I don't think that would be good for him. He's not a Bernieite.
No, but what intrigues me though, John, you look at all this list that, and I've seen a bunch of lists as well, in addition to one Mike refers to. Every one of the people on the list are just to the left in the Democratic Party. I mean, Kamala Harris,
Elizabeth Warren,
not Bernie, Kristen Gillibrand from New York. I mean, and you look down this list and thinking there's not a rational mainstream Democrat in that list, and so maybe that might be his ticket to get in the race and be the sane candidate as all these other people dive, they want to abolish ICE and all these crazy liberal ideas that are popping up now in that party. So it might not be far-fetched if he has this. There are a lot of rational Democrats. And if these guys are all fighting over the far left of the Democratic Party, maybe there is an avenue to sneak in. I don't know.
So in other words, is it going to be a Kasich-Hickenlooper ticket or a Hickenlooper-Kasich ticket?
It won't be a ticket.
Neither party would nominate that. But I think this, if he has enough resources, whether it's his own and directly to a presidential, or as they do now, they create a PAC. And he, as we've seen how the presidential race starts out with these forums, on the regular networks, the cable networks, I mean, he might be able to shine in those and gain some traction. And that's, back to what you pointed out, is his type of personality. He needs that exposure in those national forums. And he needs to get some before he leaves the governor's office, because when you become a former governor, they don't call you for the talk shows as much. Maybe yours.
But when I become former governor, they're going to be calling a lot. The book that he put out, I thought, was a stroke of brilliance. Obviously, for me, it was going to. I didn't read it.
Well, I did.
It was good because I was mentioning it.
That was my favorite part.
Exactly.
The idea of the book was, here's a book of all my sins.
Yeah.
So I did these things when I was young and stupid and drunk, and that way, it was a way to clear the field if he was going to be a vice presidential candidate or a cabinet member. That'll serve him well. You said, where's the money coming from? So, knowing what you know, and you know this world better than I do, he's sitting down having a beer with you. Maybe he's having a glass of fracking fluid with you because he drinks that occasionally. Sure. What would you tell him? Would you say, run, I think you can do this?
Two things. I am very grateful that he took the step to run for mayor and get out of his comfort zone as a business person, and then to do it for governor. And so I would like to see him run for president, because I think he's still got a lot of energy. He is full of ideas because he's an entrepreneur. And I think a lot of people would like his type of leadership. He's more of a uniter than a divider.
Paul, let me tell you, as a guy who's run against so many of his stupid ideas, from gun control to taxes.
Well, you're on one side of the extreme.
Extreme.
He's not going to be able to pull you together
John,
with the liberal guys.
Did Hickenlooper prepare talking points
really,
there?
What is this Hick for President official communication part? What would worry me is not him running. What would worry me is him being president. You need to be much more decisive.
After what we got in there now?
I'm not talking about that. I would talk about the ability to make decisions and the way that Hick can't make decisions and the way he does not like to anger constituency groups. Say what you will about Trump, he has no problem angering different constituencies. And when you're in that seat, you need to do that.
John, one of the things I hope he doesn't do, and I'm a little concerned about this, with that emissions executive order, that was nothing but a sop to the left wing of his party. And what I hope he doesn't do is try to become Colorado's Christian Gillibrand or Kamala Harris. I hope he doesn't think he's got to go diving to the left wing of his party. If he stays true to himself as a kind of a pragmatic, results-oriented kind of governor, I think that he would have a better shot at the nomination than if he suddenly tried to out Gillibrand.
Well, especially with this.
That's a good point. And I don't think that's been his nature necessarily to appease any particular constituency in the political spectrum, but he might. You never know.
Yeah.
All right, that will leave it. So we'll send the check to you. You'll be the campaign manager.
Exactly. Get into the PAC.
Dick, thank you. Mike, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Stay tuned.